a live streaming plugin for both Unity and Unreal. Just look for OptiTrack UE4, and you'll see that there's a softwares page with the plugin downloads. This plugin is not updated as quickly as the engine is, so this is the reason why I said let's not do Unreal, the newest versions of Unreal. I said let's do Unreal Engine 4.21. This is now updated as of November 5th, so if you want to go to 4.22, everything's fine. I would like to make sure all my plugins that I use are up to date, and if you look at the details, it'll tell you now you can do 4.22. You download it, and then you put it into your engine. If you navigate to wherever your engine is installed, mine I put in a not my C drive to save a little space because these engines get so big. Go to Epic Games. This would be 4.22, and engine, and then plugins, and then you just drop it in here. This is which computers is. This is my computer. My computer isn't connected to OptiTrack that often, but I would take the contents of that zip folder and just throw it into this plugins folder, and now I'd have to restart the engine if it was open, and then I have the OptiTrack plugin. Let's go over to here. I'm not sure which engine version I did with this. I did 4.22, so this could be a chance to show you that. If I go to my settings, plugins, it would be OptiTrack. So I get to do it over here. That would make sense. Let me go ahead and close, save, and then let's go to OptiTrack in my remote computer. OptiTrack UE4. So we get to see it in the real world. There's also plugins for Maya, Motion Builder, so you can plug it in and do live visualization from Motive into all your favorite digital content creation tools besides Blender. So here's this folder called OptiTrack. I go to my engine, into the games, 4.22, engine, plugins. Then it's ready for you. Now I reopen that virtual camera project, and I have the option to turn on the plugin. So this plugin, and we've shown it to you before, is a forward kinematic plugin, meaning that it's not doing any inverse kinematics, and if your performer and your avatar are wildly different in size, it won't look right. Because it's not solving for any kind of discrepancies between the two, like an inverse kinematic solution would. What you actually do is you go into Motive and you stretch out like the spine or compact end the spine, and it fixes it. This is a complete hack, I'm sure, but it's how I've gotten it to work. I've also figured out with this live link that you can the Motion Builder plugin does do inverse kinematic. So you go to Motive to Motion Builder, does an amazing retargeting, and through live link that can go into Unreal, and that would go into any version of Unreal. So that's the preferred methodology. The problem with Motion Builder is that it only saves FBX, so all the setup of the plugin isn't saved. You have to do it fresh every time you start the project, and it's too convoluted for me to teach, but it's out there if you ever need me to help you set it up. And if I was doing like a real project to record, I would do Motion Builder. Like if I was doing a day shoot, I would set up Motion Builder because it looks really, really nice, and you have all the solving capabilities of that piece of software. So here's our project, and if I go to my plugins now, we'll see there's an option for OptiTrack here. Unfortunately, I do have to enable it and restart the project one more time. You saw underneath it says Oculus VR. You can also, if you have a huge Motion Capture Studio, take off the OptiTrack, take off the Oculus plugin out of the engine, and then put a rigid body in the front, and then you can walk through the entire place on using the motion capture system instead of the Oculus tracking system. Not as important now that we have inside-out tetherless tracking, but it's super important for like the Oculus Go or like the Gear VR, which is a $99 headset. All of a sudden, you're walking around inside of VR, which was really cool. So we have these characters. I will set up Kalari real quick. We're going to do our first animation blueprint. To make an animation blueprint, I need to find the skeleton of a character. And Animation Blueprint, like how a regular blueprint is how components interact with each other, the Animation Blueprint is just how animations interact with each other. It's how you blend. It's how you say that my run cycle is here, but from spine up, it's going to be a basketball shoot and all that kind of stuff. You do state machines. Now right click and say Animation Blueprint. The shortcut for that is ABP Kolari mocap. And now that I have the OptiTrack plugin, I can change the kind of animation blueprint it is. If I go to my settings of my class, instead of just being an animation one, it's going to be an OptiTrack animation one, right? So that was class settings, and then you go over to the right side for the class options, and you say it's OptiTrack. And what that gives me is the ability to stream. Let's say, what is it? It's definitely OptiTrack. Oh, OptiTrack skeleton. It gives me the ability to connect a skeleton to an animation, to a character. I have to say what my source is. This is what I'm actually calling the asset inside of Motive. So we're going to say get source skeleton. And then we need to also put in the origin. We need to tell where 0, 0 is. So we need to get my client streaming origin. Streaming origin. And then one thing that's kind of hidden, if I select this node, it has its own detail pane. And this is where you say which bone equals which bone. Right? I'm just going to say autofill, and it should work. This is Epic Games' mapping. If not, it might look a little funny, and you just have to realize, oh, this one's off. The foot's actually pushing the elbow or something. It is tedious, but like in the mocap class, we just learn the name of every bone and a rig, you know. So now this is done. It's saved. I'm going to very quickly do the other character. And there it is. So the skeleton. No, sorry. There's the Countess. There's her skeleton. Again, right click. Or let me show you an alternate method of doing this. You can also just make an animation blueprint from scratch. Call it ABP. Oh, sorry, and say it's using the OptiTrack instance. So I don't have to change the class settings. Just say OptiTrack is the kind of animation blueprint, and it's using the skeleton for the Countess. So those are two different ways of doing it. The first way is probably quicker. Countess mocap. Open up, same thing. It was called OptiTrack skeleton. Connect it. Auto map it. And make a little variable so we can write in the skeleton name. Get source. And tell it which client origin to use. Get streaming origin. So these two assets are no longer needed, or I can just connect them to their animation blueprint now. So this is the Countess. We would get from ABP Countess, and then this one is ABP Kolari. And then how I hook it up inside the scene is, as I told you, you have to have a client origin. This is from OptiTrack plugin. I could say, where's our 0, 0, 0 in this world? You know, if I wanted them to have a battle, that's going crazy. If I wanted to have a battle way up on a hilltop, I'd put this over on the hilltop. We want to make our scene right here. So this is the origin of the world. All this data is good. It's fine. Don't worry about changing these settings. And then I need to give it a chance to choose those variables. So I'm going to add a skeleton component, OptiTrack skeleton, and this is where I give it the name. I'd say, you know, whatever we end up calling it, we'll call it player 1. Oops. Player 1. And player 1 is using the client origin, and Kolari is OptiTrack skeleton, player 2, OptiTrack origin. And that's it, they're ready to live stream. The only other thing I need to do now is set it up my take recorder so that I can use the iPad. This window right here is called the take recorder. That's not the take recorder. Sorry, it's a little. Oh, that is the take recorder right there. In here, I needed to say which items I'm recording. Right, I'm only recording two objects and a camera, probably audio too. So I'll say bring in a microphone, audio, and then bring in Kalari, and bring in. If I select it here, I'll put it on the very top. Countess. Otherwise, when I hit record, it wouldn't apply data to anything, right? If I also wanted to just simulate and then drag objects around, I would be animating them in real time inside the scene. So that's pretty cool as well. So this is ready to go. I'm going to stop the screen recording. Does anyone have any questions? No? You excited?